shaking all over the place, baby. Ooh, I'm your host, most Donald Wood. Looking fine and feeling fine, baby. I'm here with Brandon Galvin. We are representing Ring Rust, the Never Rest. Never rust, BG. Like, if you're not in your 30s or 40s or older, you don't. Somebody in the 20s is like, what do you mean? I don't get it. Like, I could drink all night and be up the next morning, no problem. And like, we wake up, we're like, how does my back and feet hurt? I didn't even stand up yesterday. It's not good. But he's old. Well, yeah, that is the problem. Raw. Did you hate Raw tonight?
So I thought about this as we were loading into this Get Vocal tonight, Donnie, because I didn't think it was a bad show. There were some good moments. There were some good moments. But I always think to myself, when you go to Monday Night Raw, and for those that don't know, Donnie and I represent Ring Rust Radio. Right now, we're going to get into our live reaction to tonight's Monday Night Raw. We do this every Monday night, 11:15 p.m. Eastern, right here on Get Vocal. And it just, I don't think there was anything memorable except for that right there. That was the most memorable thing I saw in the past 3 hours and 15 minutes. Right? Do you think there was something that if you went to tonight's Raw, you'd be like, I was there for that moment?
Well, to be perfectly fair, I think most Raws you could say that that's not the case. I think the last time I'll ever go to Raw, they're free, I would highly consider still not going. I would try to sell them.
I've turned down.
Yeah, unless it's like someone who's like, yo, I got you front row seats for free, and you can't sell them. It's at will call, and it says Donald Wood on the seat. And the only way, like, if I'm fucked out of my every other option, it's because Raw sucks. Raw, the idea of seeing Raw sucks. My fucking plug just pulled out of the goddamn wall. My fucking laptop's dying. Raw sucks. To see live on TV, I got to sit with my wife tonight. For most of it, and then I went up and started working for Bleacher Report. So it was like I got to talk. I mean, while we're talking, and like we have these things that we could do while we're doing it that keep us from being bored, like watching baseball. And sometimes it gets boring watching baseball. So you're like, let me throw the fucking laundry in, and that's like a highlight for the game. And that's how I feel with Raw. When you're there, it moves so slowly, partially because of all the commercial breaks. Partially because of all the talking segments. There's a lot of the commentators doing things which you're not privy to. So it's a lot. So I'll say that seeing it live, I get why people are tired by the end of it. Mm-hmm. And AJ Styles is forced to be like, come on, Kentucky, you can get up and clap your damn hands. Like, because you're tired. At that point, there's people there with kids that are like pissed off, like, why the fuck is it so late?
Right.
So I think there's a bunch of different factors. But for me, as someone who watched it, yeah, of course, Raw drags, because anything I watch for 3 hours is going to drag. It's never going to be able to keep my attention for 3 straight hours. It's just not. Maybe some football games, like maybe some sporting events, but that's constant action. That's constant back and forth. There's a lot of battling, but I agree. There's nothing that really blew me away, but there are a lot of interesting things that I watched on Monday that I enjoyed. So I think, and I say this, I think that Raw was better in the last couple weeks since the draft than it was before the draft.
I agree with that. There were good moments in tonight's episode of Raw. My point, and I agree with you about like just being at Raw in general. I was just thinking more about the fact that the overall show, if you went to this show, you wouldn't like have something to really go home with. That like, man, I was there for that moment. I would say every show that I've been to, there's at least one moment I can call back and be like, man, that was an awesome moment I got to see. It was something.
You got to see shit. Yeah, but yeah. Oh, all right. Well, I challenge you immediately. I think of the shave your back incident of 2019 that I'll never forget. Hashtag never forget.
The what? Shave your back?
The shave your back the moment of 2019. Honestly,
got me there.
So I'll say this. Watching it with wifey, she does not watch wrestling as much anymore at all. So she was like, first off, she was the Usos come out. She's like, oh, Usos, love the Usos. Mm-hmm. Like they were great on SmackDown last time she saw. I was like, yeah, yes, they were. They come out, they do the shave the back thing, and she's like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, exactly. Like I agree. Like that's SmackDown writing versus Raw writing. I think that's a good example of like how they were booked properly on SmackDown, because they didn't really do this like sophomoric shit. This is like, to me, I felt like this was a Vince writing thing. Like Vince thought this would be the funniest fucking thing ever, and it was gonna get over like gangbusters, and it would flop.
Yeah, this is the callback to the Attitude Era that we don't like, right? That we're like, they would do that in the Attitude Era. It wasn't really that funny then. It's really not funny now.
Yeah.
It's even weirder when it's two brothers doing it, because they've probably done that same thing, right? Hey, can you like shave my neck real quickly? You know, like it's like,
yeah, exactly.
Like you guys are brothers. You've grown up together. Like you know everything about each other. That's what like threw me off from it. Where it was like, you guys are the wrong people even be doing that. If it was Gallows and Anderson, I think it would make more sense. I just think that segment in general, it wasn't a good segment for like, and there was no point in doing that, right? Like, why are they feuding with the Revival when the Revival aren't even champions? I don't know why we're even talking about this moment, but like, that's a pointless. That's not even a real feud. Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins are champions. Why aren't the Usos going after them? It didn't make sense to me.
I think the WWE even realizes, like, why do we even have the titles on these guys? Like, this is I think Vince is confused by the whole tag team title situation. I think that Vince just doesn't care, and everyone says it. He just doesn't care about tag team wrestling, and it like further proves it every single time we see it. Well, let's talk about Money in the Bank. We'll talk first about the men. It's Ricochet, Drew Galloway, Baron Corbin, and Braun Strowman. I expected this.
I'll give you this. There's 3 people in there that I'm cool with being in there, but Baron Corbin is just a waste when you had someone like Bobby Lashley who could be in there and do better spots. Like Braun Strowman, he'll get his big man spot. That's cool. Drew McIntyre, same thing. Ricochet has to be in there. To me, he's the dark horse favorite, depending on who was announced for SmackDown.
I'm gonna say something I'm not sure you're gonna like, but I really truly believe this. I think that, I know there's a lot of depth, but I think that the idea of, if you're not going to give Braun Strowman anything, it doesn't seem like they're going to give him anything big, and Ricochet seems like he's just kind of floating around, not doing a damn thing. Seeing them together and working together, I kind of like them as a team. I think that's fucking kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't hate the idea of Braun Strowman being in a tag team with someone like that. I don't want it to be Ricochet, but
do you like Ricochet squandered as a mid-card guy? Sometimes he wins 50-50 booking all the time. Never really gets anywhere, just does the flippy shit that pops everybody. But that's your one choice. And on the other hand, he becomes tag team champion with Braun. What would you prefer?
Speaking of, I don't even care about that.
Real quick, just answer.
That's fine. No, I don't care. Where the fuck was Bobby Roode, Cedric Alexander, and Cesaro that you just had last week on this show? Like, what the hell?
I think that when you sent me a WWE.com link, correct? It was you who sent the Bray Wyatt thing?
Yeah.
I think they had like a whole write-up about Cesaro, didn't they?
What was the writeup?
I think that on that like 5 points for Raw, it was like Cesaro jumped the fucking Raw, and like they made a big deal about it, and then he's not there.
Like, at the very least, you got 4 people in this match that you announced for Raw, and you got 4 other people that just aren't doing anything on your show. Why don't you just have them in matches at the very least?
Right? Because they already blew their load with those matches last week. Like, remember those matches last week? They could have been qualifying matches for this tournament.
I was saying, like, I don't understand why they didn't do that this year. Like, why are you just announcing? Oh man, that's really weird that those 3 weren't on. We were talking about them last week.
Amy has a great point, but Robert Roode fucking beats Ricochet. Ricochet makes the Money in the Bank match. He's gone. He's not here anymore. So I don't know what the fuck is happening. As far as the women, it's Natty, Dana Brooke, Naomi, and Alexa Bliss. And if you go in the dictionary and you find the word underwhelming,
oh my god, I was gonna say that.
There's the fucking picture of all 4 of those women saying, and Naomi's just like standing on the side, like, the fuck, like that Blink 182 comment where he's like, what the fuck?
That's like, what is that? How is that they have to, something has to be up for next week that Dana Brooke is in this thing.
Unless she's So
right?
listen, everybody keeps telling me about how Kaka Banks is going to be in it. Kaka is going to either have to fight her way past Dana Brooke to get in here or something, or in cause some intrigue, or just add a little element of something here. Because I don't think she's going in.
What if like at Money in the Bank you do an injury angle, and no one knows who attacked Dana Brooke, and then out comes Sasha Banks.
Oh yeah, I thought you meant like during the match, but yeah, before
no. Backstage, like remember like when they did that like, with Nikki Bella in Survivor Series, and they've done a
I always think of him. Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I think we were thinking earlier, but you know what?
You got to do something, right? She can't be in this fucking match. She's been nothing on this main roster. Why is she
powerhouse, bro? She's the fucking muscle.
Listen, I agree. Sure, but Natty can do that, right? Like, I'm sure Bayley will be in this match.
I don't know. I am genuinely confused about the Raw women's division at this moment, because if Becky's coming to Raw, talk about where's the depth? Like, what's the feuds? Where is she going from there? Who's the monster that's gonna fucking play off of her babyface gimmick?
It won't be a monster, but they will have Alexa Bliss, where she can be this, cunning, conniving, weasel, and that could be fine.
I don't know. It's very
Sasha Banks will be it
if she's back, or she could be. I'm not going to say where she's going. I'm not going to say it. AEW.
Change the world, man.
Yeah, dude. Change your shirt, because I don't. Becky. No, it's just because I wear AEW all the time. Becky, yeah, you've literally worn that since our live show. You're like, I'm holding it on until next year. Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans getting a pull apart brawl. I thought Becky Lynch. This was still a white meat babyface promo, which still
the best of those, though.
Yeah, I'd say last week's where she kind of went like with Charlotte was probably my favorite since she won the titles.
Yeah, that was on.
Yeah, but in terms of Raw, this is you're right. It's just like different. And I said this last week, and I really felt it again this week. When we talk about Charlotte and Becky, it's like a shoot. It's like they're like fucking shooting on each other, and it's like very real. And with Lacey Evans, it's like she's Lacey Evans is a character. And right. Becky has to then play a character. She's got to be this like plucky underdog. And that's not where she thrives. And it's just.
Right. And the problem is that you're right. Like Lacey Evans is a character, but it's a character that we really don't know anything about. Right? Like they don't do vignettes. Her whole thing for 3 months was just walking out. Like we don't know Lacey Evans.
She's a sassy Southern belle, and they infer she gives hand jobs to get ahead. I think I know everything I need to know.
I like her style, but I like this.
Yeah, I've been giving hand jobs to get ahead all the time, and I have literally only gotten like hand rashes.
What else are you supposed to do in life? But I thought this was a good segment. I like that they had Lacey Evans keep it short. It wasn't this long drawn out promo, and she got right in. I'm just gonna kick your ass. And
I like that. They definitely. I'm not even saying I hate this. I'm just saying it's so different from what they're doing on SmackDown. To me, it feels a little bit.
They're starting from scratch. You can't really go up against someone that they've had history for like 6 years at this point.
No, but I'm just talking about the context of the promos. It just feels like two entirely different. Like you're writing for two different people. It's the same. Like I was saying, it's like Viking Raiders and fucking War Raiders. They're the same team, but like they're two different entities. Like they're faces on NXT and they're heels on Raw, and It's like, the fuck is going on here? Like SmackDown Becky and Raw Becky are two different people. So
yeah, it's very bizarre.
And Rollins and AJ, they tussle a bit. They toss it around. Pay-per-view must be Sunday because the contract signing is handled. So. Let's predict. Oh, wait, no. There's like how many weeks left before the pay-per-view? Like 3 still? 2?
I think 2 more Raws.
Okay. So I feel like it's a little early to do the contract signing. I feel like we're doing this out of order, but...
It's the 19th. Yeah.
That's 3. I think that's 3.
well, 3 weeks from yesterday. But so it is a little early, but like he was just, he was confirmed last week. Hey, I don't have a problem with this actually. It's too soon because he was confirmed last week. Hey, you want a match to get in? Hey, we now have the contract signing. Cool. Now go have your feud, which they had they started that tonight, which I enjoyed that promo, that back and forth between them. And then you had AJ getting booed during the promo, which I was surprised because clearly
that's odd.
Say that again.
In Kentucky too, which he's like a Southern guy. Like I thought, like for sure he was going to be the one.
It was very strange, and he was saying things that didn't warrant being booed. I felt like where he's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna burn it down in the match, and I'm gonna take your championship." And it's like, what else did you want? Like, why are you booing that? It's AJ Styles. I didn't realize Seth Rollins was so over where people would cheer him over AJ Styles.
Oh, I mean, and I'm sorry to everybody listening from Kentucky, but let's hold it up until we head to an A city before we start really worrying about who's over and who's not over. But generally, but in that moment, PG, I look at it like this. AJ Styles is out there by himself. AJ Styles is over like a motherfucker, right? But everybody's behind Seth Rollins in this moment, so he's got to kind of play the de facto heel. And it's almost like Matt Riddle and Velveteen Dream, where it's like when we watch that match, we're like, is he turning heel? Is this AJ turning heel? And it's more of like, we just know what the crowd's going to do. So play it up a little bit, amp it up a little bit. This is how they kind of do face versus face in WWE now. It's like, we have to give one of you this edge, at least in the, during the build in the match. So the match itself, story-wise, makes sense. And the feud itself will make sense. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with AJ portraying the bad guy. It's fun to see that the draft continues this week because Gallows and Anderson are on fucking Raw. But I know they took the L. They shouldn't even have showed up. That's going to be the case. But come on, they get involved. That's part of the deal. Have them if you're going to stretch this feud, like I think they're going to stretch this feud. Like I think they should stretch this feud because it should be multi-person match or multi times to get this match heading into SummerSlam. Why not try to get the Good Brothers on? Why not? I would fucking have the title switch hands.
And you know what you can build to a Survivor Series, Donnie?
Shield versus the Bullet Club?
Damn right you can.
Well, there's only one problem with that, and that's because Kenny Omega needs an opponent for All In 2 or 3, and I think Pac gets the chance. I don't know. Dean Ambrose will be a while. I think no matter what, Dean Ambrose is taking time off just to get the fuck away.
I mean, hey, that's in like what 6 months, 5 months. We're pretty nice to have a Shield against the Bullet Club. That'd be pretty cool. Like Amy says, like AJ mentioned that Rollins is all alone now. That's a good little segue to have Andy and Big Al. That would have been so much better though if they just came out at Money in the Bank and had that impact. Where it's like, wait, it's a joint show, so are they on Raw and helping? What's going on here? Then the next night you say, hey, they're here with me. WWE fucked that up as usual.
What if the draft never ends?
I would love for the draft to never end.
Every week you're like, what is Tom Phillips doing on fucking Raw? Like it's just like every week it's something different. You're like, these are terrible surprises. What is happening right now?
But he got a shout out on by Seth Rollins today. But to your point about where they were, I was surprised that the crowd booed him during the promo, but it was clear that they were setting him up to eventually turn. That's why he punched him in the face first, right? So that's your semi-turn, your semi-heel turn. Like he is now the heel in this feud, clearly.
Well, let's rapid fire this. I want to punch you in your baked potato face. And it's really nice to see Shane have. So I'll say this. Jimmy sent me a Total Divas Episodes tweet, which is all the GIFs of Raw, right?
Right.
And it was Shane mounting Miz and laying in his punches. Now, two factors in this video. It was only 10 seconds long. There were 9 camera cuts in 10 seconds during that punch sequence. Also, not one of those camera cuts could save us from the worst punches in wrestling, dude. He is the worst at punching. It's so bad. I hate it. Whether you say like, oh, well, that's like what you would really do. Well, guess what? The guy in the last row can't see like Like you rockin' soccer roboting him fucking right up close. Like you fucking need to get like, whoa, like goofy. Woo, 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 woo.
Who do you think has the best working punch in wrestling?
I'll say who has the second worst, and that's Kaka Banks. He's got the second worst. It goes Shane and then Kaka Banks. And in terms of punches, who really lays it?
Because I got mine. I know mine. I think Triple H is the best at the working punch. Triple H.
Is it hard for you to breathe with your head so far up his ass?
I'm smelling fucking roses.
Talking about the same fucking matches since they had like 44 matches together. Undertaker has better punches than him.
No.
He's always had better strike. He's a fucking way better striker. Is this a real conversation?
I'm not talking about if he's a better striker. I'm talking about who has the best working punch.
Kenny Omega.
Yeah, okay.
Kenneth Omegamon.
Definitely doesn't.
Great punches. Gorgeous. Those kind of punches, they could change the world. I'm done talking about Raw. It was a long show, and this was far longer than it should have been talking about it because nothing happened. But God bless America, guys. BG, tell everybody where they can find Donald Wood, Brandon Galvin, and the whole Ring Rust Radio crew, plus the other guys.
The other member of our crew is Mike Chiari. You can read his articles and Donald Wood's articles on BleacherReport.com. And you could also listen to our podcast, our long-form podcast, Ring Rust Radio. Every Wednesday night is when we publish our podcast on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, so much more. And I'm just happy that we didn't talk Bray Wyatt.
Oh yeah, okay. We have to talk. You have to talk about it because honestly, we said we want evolution every time. We want to move it along. We want to see different things. I like the picture of a house with a kid burning inside or a person burning inside of it. It's like really twisted. It's honestly a very strange thing. Again, talking about my wife watching Raw and not seeing. She heard I kind of explained it, but she didn't really see any of it. She turned to me like, what the fuck? What the fuck is happening, dude? I was like, this is just what we're doing here. And by the end of it, she's like, that was weird as shit, but super interesting. I don't know. This may not go anywhere. I have no faith in WWE. It could go nowhere. I don't know. But with that said, it's intriguing while we're on the road to it.
Right. It was weird where they placed the segment, though.
What do you mean?
It was just right in the middle of this women's, like, as they're going to, like, Naomi versus Alexa Bliss, like, out of nowhere. It was just weird to me. I
mean, in the context of things, we'll forget about where it was placed. But, I mean, I didn't even really notice or remember that or take note of that.
Like, see, you bring up a good point, though, of, like, forget the fact that we don't have faith in WWE, but, of, like, where is this actually going in ring-wise of what they would do with that? Right, like there is not like I don't see anything that's going to translate from that to a character in the ring. Like I like it outside the ring, but like in the ring, what? It's like your idea from last week, where it's like he has to like rally some misuse,
How did he end the thing? Let me in. It was very nice until the end, and he just like it became this like it was like a cult. And that's kind of how I feel like with this is going. He was always the cult leader, and I still think he's going to have that cult leader gimmick. I think just basically now he's using like a children's and again, it may just be the fact that I've watched like 4 hours of Chuggington and fucking Word Party and fucking all these kids shows every single day for the fucking last 3 years of my life. But it's very interesting. It's very different. It feels like a demented Pee-wee's Playhouse. It feels like this almost like fun kids show on acid, which is like that I love that stuff. The Fear and Loathing kind of like twisted version of it. I like that.
Before we go, I'll ask you one question.
Okay.
How long would you keep this going until you see him in the ring?
I mean, I'll be totally honest with BG. They have to know where it's going to have that answer. I don't have a good idea of where this is going. I don't have the broad picture for this one. Sometimes when we saw Shane and Miz like starting a feud, we're like, oh, I know where this is going. When we saw Kevin Owens with fucking New Day, we're like, yes, like the writing's on the wall for us to do. There is no writing on the wall for this. This is completely uncharted territory for them. we always ask them to do like outside the ring stuff. This is outside the ring stuff. This is something weird and demented, and I don't know what the fuck it is, and it may never go anywhere. And if that's the case, then this is all for naught. But they're putting so much effort into it. The reports are that Undertaker's involved with the conversations about making this work. So I'm hoping, with all hope, that regardless of how much I like Bray Wyatt, like this is different. This is interesting. We want give me adult programming. Give me Breaking Bad. Give me Game of Thrones. Give me something that's like my kid won't really understand, but it hits on my level. TVPG, everybody bitches about that, but that's fine. TVPG is fine. The restraints are nothing, but give me something in that TVPG format that appeals to me, an adult with a little bit of a fucking twisted mind. So,
right. Funny you say the adult oriented through the lens of a Pee-wee Playhouse segment. But see,
that was our childhood because the kids today, they don't have it's like this is like a Barney. If Barney instead of Barney was a fucking jacked up now, he's got like little tiny legs. Do you remember Saturday Night Live when they were the fucking pump you up guys, and they had those tiny little legs that were fake that would hang from the chair and the giant upper body? It's like Bray. He's got like that.
Okay. I'll leave you with this. We're not too far off months-wise from when they first started to air the Wyatt Family segments that then they made their debut at SummerSlam. I would keep this going if they could. I know it's difficult, but for the first match to be at SummerSlam, just like it was 7 years ago, where it's this new reincarnation of Bray Wyatt, whatever it is, that's where you get
or you get the stable, or it's a big.
Well, I think would be cool. I like your idea of the whole miscast, misuse people, where instead of him getting you're gonna have to do something where he's in front of the live crowd at some point. But I wouldn't have the actual match. So what I would do is you could start building that segment where, if you remember, when Trish Stratus was first coming up, right, and she was, it was on Heat, right, when she first started, really. But she would just come out on stage and survey who was in the ring, and then finally she picked Albert and Pest. But I would have Bray Wyatt do lurking in the shadows, and you have Michael Cole and Renee Young, what the hell is he doing? And he's scoping, he's scouting the talent of who is really struggling. You see him lurking backstage or something, or hey, come into my room.
He's got to be recruiting. If he's a true cult leader, he has to be recruiting, and he has to be recruiting the kind of people who are downtrodden. It has to be a cult. It has to be Heaven's Gate. It has to be one of these fucking Shinrikyo. It has to be a true cult where he's are you down? Are you lost? Do you not have a direction? Well, you know what? I am your direction. He's got to be this. He's got to be God to these people. And I love the idea of that coming to fruition through the lens of this little kids show. You know what I mean? You've never heard of it, but there's a Japanese cult called Shinrikyo. It was this. They murdered a bunch of people. They ended up getting almost getting a nuclear bomb, and they formed an army in Japan. It's a crazy fucking story. But how they recruited people was through anime. That's how they got them in the door. They got a bunch of science fucking nerds into the fucking building, and they're like, "Oh, while you're here, you want to build guns? You want to fucking work on chemical weapons for us?" And I think I'm not saying that Bray should use chemical weapons, but I'm saying that Bray should probably be I'm going to be the absolute prototypical cult leader, and bring in. That'd be awesome. It would be.
What I would love nothing more is for in 8 months or something, we finally get the reveal where this place was. And it's in his shitty compound, right?
If I'm writing what's the name of that movie with Juliette Lewis and Woody Harrelson? Fuck, I can't think of it. Natural Born Killers, where it's a lot of those scenes were in their minds, they were losing their mind as they were going through this killing spree. And to me, I feel what if at we look back once this is all done, and it's all these segments were really in Bray's head. We were we were in Jeff Hardy's head, to hear his heartbeat and like, oh my god, I'm about to take James Storm down. He's a drunkard. Like all those funny fucking Hardy things. Like do that, but if it was like not as fucking hokey and stupid. Because don't forget, they have Jeremy Borash there. Matt Hardy's right there. Matt Hardy and fucking he's gonna be like, hey man, like we just did this shit. It really worked for us. Because that's one thing about WWE that fucking bugs me still to this day. It's fucking Matt Hardy. He came over with so much fucking momentum following all that Impact Wrestling stuff. They did one fucking thing. They did one fucking cool thing, and then it was never done again. And you're like, wow, that was so much for that. Like my hope, and they don't like you bring Jeremy Borash and you have the masterminds of that. Well, it was probably the coolest segment of that year. And like you're not doing anything. So my hope is that this is them like a bunch of guys like fuck. This is our only chance. Let's go balls deep in this and just have a great time. So I don't know. All right, we gotta go. This has been too long. You keep asking me questions. Stop asking me questions. God bless America. BG, how do people support us?
Patreon.com/RingRustRadio. You can also click the button down below on our Get Vocal page. We can also go there. We do so much. We do fantasy drafts. We do other match drafts. You can come on our show. You can give us match commentary. You can do retro reviews with us. You can also get your emails guaranteed to be read. We also have brown box raffle giveaways. I'm assuming that's not going to be in the giveaway, but I would donate a lot of money just to get one of those.
I know I can count on you.
He talks. Did you see that? That's going to be
I would.
I know. It's fucking awesome. Until Cinnamon sees it. And she's like, what the fuck is this, dude?
Oh, she would rip that up in a second.
Yo, Dad, what are you doing here, huh? He's fucking just smacks the shit out of it. All right, God bless America, guys. We'll see you back here next week. As soon as I stop this broadcast.
Boom.